If you carry a firearm and discharge your weapon in self-defense, you could face hundreds of thousands of dollars in legal fees and expenses. So carry the protection of CCW Safe, Self-Defense Legal Services membership. Upfront payment of all criminal and civil defense costs with no out-of-pocket for members. Unlimited defense budgets, unmatched legal expertise. Carry the same level of support police officers have. Carry CCW Safe, the highest caliber.
And we are back. I'm Chris Evan, the CEO of Survival Dispatch, and I've got the A-team with me tonight. Our in-house CIA operative, Jeff MD, author extraordinaire, mixologist extraordinaire as well, by the way. And at S2, you're on mute, Jeff. Nobody can hear what's in your drink.
Iced tea.
It's like I picked a hell of a week to quit drinking.
Yeah.
All right, and our in-house intel expert, S2, and then we've got the B team, which is our Mad Bomber bike, and it's not because the B team's worse than the A team, it's the bomb team. Apparently he didn't like that comment. He went and froze up on us. Look at that.
Well, he's getting old. It's just his brain.
Too funny. All right, we're going to jump right in tonight, and I've added something new. So a lot of the times we've got some breaking news to report. Tonight we don't have any breaking news, and I like to put those right at the beginning of the situation report so we get them out of the way. So if we have a night like tonight and there is no breaking news, we're going to look at the top 10 news items, and I'm just going to touch on them really quickly. We can't dive deep into all of them in tonight's episode or any episode for that matter. So according to Grok, right now, the new Grok 3 is publicly available, by the way, and it blows the Chinese stuff out of the water. Elon was right. I did a bunch of testing today. I'll report on that later. But according to Grok, number one news item today, Delta plane crash in Toronto. That's our headline story. We're going to dive into that. Extreme weather across the country, Trump administration's latest moves, Elon Musk and Doge controversy. Not really. Immigration crackdown impacts, Russia frees an American prisoner, homicide near state capital in Nebraska, shooting at Crystal Towers apartments. Crystal Towers, that just sounds like a beautiful place. Not really. President's Day aftermath, and the Social Security chief resigned as soon as she got called on the carpet for, hey, how come y'all are paying hundreds of millions of dollars to these people who are all over 100 years old? So that's the quick run. You guys want to say anything on that before we jump into the Delta thing?
You should have heard Trump taking questions at Mar-a-Lago today. He was going off reciting about the ages of people getting Social Security checks, and he was like, "I never met any of these people, but I would worship the ground they walk on if I had."
Well, there is breaking news. Apparently, Donald Trump is in charge of the Canadian air traffic control system.
Well, this is true. And, the other thing as well is not one single air traffic controller has been laid off since Donald Trump came into office. This is all Pete Buttplug's doing. So, there's that as well. But yes, apparently Canada's already the 51st state, right, Jeff? That's makes sense, you know? Okay. So anyway, the title of tonight's episode, as well as the thumbnail, relates to DEI, which, we are not big fans of here at Survival Dispatch. Did a fair bit of research on this today, and we should have probably updated the thumbnail and taken the question mark off, because there is no question. When you find out the details on this pilot and the fact that this had nothing to do with the wind, it's pretty shocking. It's so shocking that I'd be surprised anybody in their right mind would want to get on a Delta plane anytime soon. So everybody, I'm assuming, has heard of this, that the plane flipped on landing. We're going to show some video. It came in way too hot, and then there's pilot error. It wasn't even the right runway, for crying out loud. And the DEI hire did this is from Quebec, and Jeff and I had a brief exchange on this before we went live. I worked in Quebec several times when I was with Sun. Montreal, beautiful city, beautiful people, amazing food. But as soon as you leave Montreal and go anywhere else, most of them speak English, but they hate Americans in particular. They hate everybody who speaks English. And this pilot was from Quebec. He was also a minority, which really doesn't matter. And he refused to speak in English to the air traffic controllers in Toronto. And Jeff, what was your comment on that? Because I was not aware of this, by the way.
English is the official air traffic control language for the entire world. If you're if you're piloting an international flight, all communications with the towers in every country are in English.
I appreciate you sharing that. I did not know that. So this article here is on Breitbart, and the fact that I just said that and showed it on screen will probably get this video suppressed on YouTube, but what else is new? So some of these questions have been answered. What happened to the wings? Well, we're going to see that from a different angle. And it's amazing that 80 people got off of this plane, like absolutely amazing. But there are more injuries than what were reported earlier. Apparently 8 of them now are in critical condition and 19 total that are injured. So there's absolutely going to be lawsuits over this. And the wind was 32 miles per hour. So that's substantial. I can tell you that the bridges across the intercoastal waterway here in Florida, regardless of what part of the state you're in, as soon as we hit a sustained 39 miles per hour, they shut the bridges down. And I always thought that it would be higher than that until that was brought to my attention years ago when I took a leadership course with the city here. But anyway, the wind was significant, but this plane had actually already touched the ground before it flipped over. And I'm going to show you some video on that. And this next tab up here. So this is the new footage. And we're also going to discuss the model, this CRJ 900 made by Bombardier, which is a Canadian company as well, who typically makes pretty high-end products. But 17 seconds, I may play this one a couple times just so everybody can grasp exactly what's happening here.
I'm Chapman. This is Radio Chaos.
After a real best on a plane.
Okay, so if you look there, the wheels had touched down. He came in way too hot on this landing. So right there, the wheels are down. You can actually see the landing gear right here compressing as it hits the runway. And I'll play it out, then we'll do it in slow-mo again.
Plane. It's where you'll never fly again. After
All right, so I'm going to back that up. And essentially what you're going to see is that he was coming in too hot. Let me play the beginning just so you can get a grasp of how fast it's actually going.
Radio Chaos.
after a near best on a plane.
All right, so he touches down there. The plane is slightly cantilevered to the right and bounces on the asphalt. The pilots who've done deep dives on this today, almost across the board, have said that that probably caused him to overreact with the yoke. And that's what caused it essentially to flip over. And that's what happened to the wing right there. That's why the wing came off, because as it rolled over, it didn't flip in the air, which was what people were saying initially. Hit the ground, bounced, went to the right, flipped over, broke the right wing off at that point in time. Jeff, I'll go to you first for your comments on this. You've got a fair bit of knowledge when it comes to planes.
Well, yeah, I mean, there could have been wind shear and everything else, but yeah, he did come in too hot, because when you hit that hard, normally you go full flaps, flare out, lose airspeed, but still maintain some lift. So when you hit the runway, you're not hitting it like you're falling out of the sky. You're flaring. And from what I saw, it didn't look like that happened. Now, there could be any number of reasons why. There could have been a wind shear. There could have been all sorts of things. But if you look at the smoke, the way the smoke is blowing after when it crashes, now it's still running here, but the videos I've seen, the smoke is still blowing, from on the screen from right to left, meaning it was a headwind. Well, a headwind, and they're like, oh, it's 35 miles an hour. A 35-mile-an-hour headwind for a landing airplane is a very, very good thing. Tailwinds are what kill you.
Oh, great point.
Are wonderful because you have a lower actual ground speed, because if you have a 50-mile-an-hour headwind and your stall speed is 130, then you cannot stall and be doing 80 miles an hour. A lot easier to handle. In fact, if you get small planes with a really strong headwind, they can fly and actually go backward, because there's enough air over the wing to keep them aloft, due to their low stall speed. Porters are famous for this. I mean, they actually hover. When I was at a Trump rally in Florence a couple of years ago, really high winds, there was a plane and it was pulling a banner. And when it was flying into the wind, it was like hanging in the air. And then when it turned around to go back, 200 miles an hour, because that headwind became a tailwind. And then it would flip around and do the same thing. So a headwind for this thing would have been wonderful. So he should not have hit the ground that hard.
That's a great observation. I didn't catch that with the way the smoke was blowing, but appreciate that. Mike, you want to chime in on this?
Yeah, that his rate of descent was super fast.
Yeah.
On that. I mean, he wasn't even going to catch the number 3 wire coming in like that. I mean, even if that plane had a tail hook, which it doesn't. I chatted with a guy who was a former F-18 pilot today, and he was like, he said the same thing. He was like, yeah, no, this is all on that pilot. 100%. This guy just virtually pancaked that plane. So, yeah, his rate of descent and his speed were all way too hot. I don't know what the hell he was doing, but yeah. Yeah, we're going to take blood samples from this guy and find out what the hell's going on.
Yeah, not a bad idea. S2, I want to hear your thoughts in general, but also maybe start the conversation rolling on this plane model, the CRJ 900.
Well, I mean, Jeff pretty much said what I had noticed too, because I kind of did the same thing. I was going through frame by frame on this today. And initially I thought when the plane hit the ground, I saw the landing gear compress way down. And I had been reading about the brake problems, the rear brake problems on these planes that have been deteriorating over the years. And I mean, basically what a lot of aviators are saying now is that these planes literally are on their last legs. They're literally falling apart because of all of the maintenance problems they've had, and they should be retired and started over from a clean sheet. I mean, they've had all kinds of problems, from fuel delivery problems. The weight and balance issue is a major concern with these planes. The braking systems, there's just all kinds of plane reports talking about main landing gear brakes failing. They have quirky problems with their electronics, all sorts of things. This model of plane just needs to be retired. And it just so happens that this is also the same model plane that got crashed into by the helicopter.
So this next video, I believe the first video is just a portion of it. This is a little bit longer. Mike, you mentioned like coming in hot. Watch it from this angle. It looks even more extreme here. So this is the plane right here where my cursor is.
Oh, that nose is way too low.
Yeah.
Oh fuck. Oh no.
Look at the blowing. Yeah. Okay. Just notice, look at the wind blowing the snow at the bottom of the screen.
Yeah.
He had a headwind. He didn't have a crosswind. He didn't have a tailwind. He had a headwind. And that should have made that landing so much easier.
Was his co-pilot even in the plane?
Huh, what was that?
Was his co-pilot even in the plane? The co-pilot should have said something.
Yeah, because it's like, did he have any flaps at all?
I didn't see any.
You know, because I mean, holy crap, man! You should be with that kind of a headwind. This plane should almost be hovering over the damn runway.
Yeah.
So not only was he coming in too hot, not only was he on the wrong runway, he completely missed the beginning of the runway.
Yeah.
Several other pilots commented on. So this is the same video as the first one. It's just got a little bit more in the end, a little bit more in the beginning. So I'll just play it out here. Because right here you can definitely see the snow.
You see the way the wind's blowing.
Good point.
So you're seeing this airplane just crash into 3.
And this is why aircraft carriers, when they launch airplanes, turn into the wind and then hit the gas. They go full speed into the wind to get as much air over the bow of the ship, so the planes can catch air better.
Very interesting.
Oh my god! Oh my god! Well, hold shit. I can take that.
Anyway, that's the different plane angles definitely speak a lot to it. So let me pull up this next one here. So this was, I want to say, maybe 48 hours before the crash, where Delta Airlines, did a big promo 48 hours ahead of time on how they're doubling down on DEI, and they're all about DEI. And it's pretty bad. And this is the reaction online from people: not flying Delta with their DEI pilots anytime soon. And why anybody would want to do that is beyond me. But this is how they want the makeup to go, as far as they want to have more minorities, less white guys, specifically guys, not women. If this isn't based on merit, excellence, and intelligence, I don't know what should. But
well, now wait a minute. They said that they want more white men. That's gender bias right there.
All right.
Well, honestly, I mean, I fly Delta all the time, and I see men and women. And honestly, I mean, I'm flying here in domestically here in the U.S. I don't have any problems with their flights.
Yeah.
Delta just needs to pick. They need to pick up their game with the stewardesses, though. I'm telling you.
They need to take lessons from was it Qantas, Air New Zealand, Singapore, and actually
SAS.
Emirates. Huh?
SAS or Emirates.
Emirates.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Emirates.
Singapore Air.
Mike, I'm going to highly recommend that you knock on wood after that last comment that you made. It's got bad juju written all over it. So, all right. So here is one of Delta.
See what I mean?
This is the video that's pinned, or was pinned earlier today, at the top of their TikTok account.
Did somebody say slave? Did somebody say slave?
Was that AOC in there working on the plane? Not that.
No, she was too tall.
One there. That's like an AOC.
Is she making an espresso or a cappuccino or something?
That's
she's making sure the door. She's making sure the door will shut when the plane takes off.
Very very sexist of you, Jeff.
It's just her history, man.
All right, so here it is. So Delta Airlines reaffirmed its commitment to DEI initiatives before Toronto crash, part of our focus. Delta Airlines stood fast in its commitment to continuing its DEI efforts ahead of the Toronto crash, even as many major U.S. companies have rolled back their own programs in deference to new Trump administration policies. DEI is about talent, and that's been our focus. Delta Chief Affairs Officer, blah, blah, blah. We are steadfast in our commitment. We think they're actually critical to our business, he said, in response to reporters' questions about the Atlanta headquarter airlines' plans around DEI. Maybe they're changing their business model or something. Maybe they want to be like lawsuit losers or something going forward.
I'd be willing to bet that if they had changed their business model before, they're changing it tomorrow.
Well, so look at some major companies here, right? So companies including Pepsi, GM, Google, Disney, GE, Amazon, and others have announced to pull back on DEI initiatives in recent weeks, either slowing down their implementation or winding them down entirely. So, I mean, I give you all a chance to take a swing at the DEI stuff here. Jeff, you first.
Well, if there's anybody who needs to be merit-based, it's your surgeon and your pilot. Okay, your garbage man, okay, he doesn't necessarily have to be so merit-based. Maybe your plumber, okay, you get a leak, but someone who has your life literally in their hands, I want to be the absolute best person at their job. I don't care what color they are. I don't care if they're male or female. I just want them to be the freaking best. Period.
So I'm watching, I've got all these monitors in front of me here, people joining the stream. So some of the people missed the beginning. So I want to reiterate something for people here. Precisely 0 air traffic controllers have been laid off at the FAA since Donald Trump took power. So the shortfall in air traffic controllers is 100% on the Biden admin, has nothing to do with Trump. Number one. Number two, Canada is not the 51st state just yet. We have no say or control over their air traffic controllers. So Mike, your turn up to bat on the DEI stuff as it relates to airplanes in particular.
Oh, well, I mean, just like Jeff said, don't you want the people with your life in their hands to be the best at what they do? I mean, that's kind of a gimme. Now, for my company, it's easy. We just go right on ahead and we go ahead and take, DEI initiatives very seriously in my company. I mean, it's just bomb disposal. What could possibly go wrong?
So maybe
wouldn't it be a self-correcting problem if you hired a DEI person?
It is 100% a self-correcting problem. It really
is natural selection, but gets pretty expensive on your insurance premiums. Mike, just refresh the audience's memory, because not everybody's heard this. On the project that you did in DC that took years to get paid, and why they were holding up your payment on it for disposing of explosives.
Oh no! Okay, so actually, this project that we did for the District of Columbia, we were working on a bridge across the Anacostia River. So if it's the Capitol Street Bridge and anybody got all kinds of screwed up, yeah, that's my fault. Suck it. But we got paid. I mean, we really only got paid 6 months late on everything. But we just today finally got through with everything, because the DEI reports, they have been hounding me for months now for my DEI reports for the project so that they could close out contracting. And finally, I got the lady on the phone today, and I said, "Lady, we are a bomb disposal contractor." She said, "Yeah." I said, "Back up. Think about what I just said." Oh, I was like, "Yeah. Do I give a damn about what color anybody is?" She was like, "Okay, I'm going to go ahead and close you out right now." It took all the way till today. We got our final paycheck from them in January of 2021.
Wow. I didn't realize that happened today. That's kind of interesting time.
Today was the final day of closing that whole thing out. That's why I've been out in the middle of nowhere all day.
Right on.
Elon said, pay Mike.
There you go. So S2, go ahead and give us your thoughts on DEI stuff as it relates to the airlines before we move on to this next one.
Everybody who has anything to do with an airplane needs to be the best at what they do. That includes your ground crews. Mm-hmm. I don't want the fucking wheels falling off the bus when I'm landing. I don't want any freaking doors flying off, decompressing the cabin.
And I don't want a warm Pepsi.
I don't drink Pepsi, so I don't give a shit.
Unter Pepsi with a little ice.
Unter Bug.
All right. So there's part of a Tim Cast video on YouTube. I'm not going to play the whole thing. I think it's like 18 minutes or something like that. But the first couple of minutes, he hits on some pretty good points. So I'll play the beginning of this, and then we'll come back to you, Jeff.
New video has emerged of the Delta plane crash in Toronto. The CRJ jet landed hard, burst into flames, and then began to roll, ultimately flipping over. I believe everyone is okay. There are some people that sustained pretty critical injuries, but I don't think anybody is at risk of losing their lives right now. Now, interestingly, NBC pundit blames Trump for Toronto plane crash. Yeah, even though it happened in Canada, it's Trump's fault. Well, you see, Donald Trump, as well as many conservative commentators, were talking about DEI at these corporations where they were choosing to hire staff based on race and who they prefer to sleep with instead of their capabilities in flying a plane. For years now, there have been warnings from people on the right that this could lead to plane crashes. Notably, Charlie Kirk and Matt Walsh have been saying, hey, man, we might see some planes crash. Well, as of right now, nobody knows exactly what happened. But according to officials, there was no crosswind and the runway was dry. So how did this plane crash? Well, with the new video that recently dropped, I will say, not an expert in any capacity, probably totally wrong. It looks like pilot error. It looks like the pilot flying the jet came in too hard, crushing the right landing gear, resulting in a slide, which then, you know how friction works, it began to spin and then roll. We'll play the video. Everyone's okay. I know the video, it's plane crash, kind of shocking, but I do think we need to take a look at it and analyze it. Now, I will say this again, not an expert in any way, have flown on quite a bit of planes, friends who are pilots, not really worth all that much. What I can say is in the video, when the plane touches down, there's not even an instant where, I mean, you can just see that plane belly flops. It just slams down. Now, it's possible that something was wrong with the controls at the last minute as they were landing. Considering the plane was actually still flying, I'm going to go ahead and assume pilot error. Now, we don't know who the pilot is, but I will say this. The fact that some are speculating it's pilot error, assuming that they're correct, and again, probably not. I don't know. But if it is pilot error, that lends itself more to the DEI argument than the Trump firing people at the FAA argument. First of all, this was in Canada. So the FAA, not a factor here. But the story that we have, NBC pundit blames Trump. This is the game they are playing. Well, let's break this down. I can't, look, again, I will stress, we don't know exactly what happened. We don't know for sure. What we do have is a new video and an argument being made on both sides, which we will break down. Before we get started, of course, just head over to castbrew.com, pick up some Cast Brew calls. NBC pundit blames Trump, even though it happened for the Delta crash, even though it happened in Canada. So NBC pundit Tom Costello immediately blamed the horrific Toronto plane crash on President Trump, despite it happening in Canada. I love how it's like the third time they're saying it. On Monday afternoon, a Delta plane crashed. This we know. The Bombardier CR900 carrying 80 people flipped and appeared to land fatal DC plane crash. Now, let me just stress, the plane crashed in DC before Trump did anything, right when he came in. There have been complaints about DCA for a very long time. They're flying hell.
All right, so I'm going to stop it there. It's actually a really interesting video. I could sit here and watch the whole thing again. But, Jeff, any comments on your part on what Tim had to say, other than I get it, we live in a lawsuit-happy country, and you have to say alleged or we're not sure, those sort of things.
It's even beyond that. I mean, it's they want to blame Trump even when it makes absolute zero sense to blame Trump. I mean, a meteor could slam into the earth tomorrow and they say it was Trump's fault because, he didn't build a meteor defense system in the last 4 weeks. So, yeah, it's just asinine bullshit on the mainstream media.
But he said egg prices would come down on day one.
I wish he'd go on there talking about eggs. He goes, the reason we have no eggs is because we killed 100 million chickens. Dead chickens don't lay eggs.
Hey, don't be talking bad about entrepreneurship.
says the chicken. Also. All right. So obviously the beginning of this next one is satire with the two upside down pilots. But the pilots of the Delta plane that flipped in Toronto today have been identified as Jonathan Simpson and Sammy Haid, according to posts on X. However, information from social media should be treated as inconclusive and not as verified evidence. And here's why. So this is Jonathan Simpson, the pilot of today's Delta crash. He was not the pilot. The other guy was the pilot. So a good example of why you have to dig a little bit deeper on stuff. So this is the pilot. This is Sammy Haid of Montreal, Quebec. He was the pilot of today's Delta crash in Toronto. After refusing to speak English to air traffic control, he landed on the wrong runway and flipped his jet. When will we start holding the French accountable for their actions? Well, he looks like a Sikh to me, and maybe French is his first language. I don't know.
Is that dubbed onto him? The turban, I mean.
That's what it kind of looks like.
It looks like that, yeah.
Possibly. Yeah, it doesn't look like it belongs.
That looks fake.
It does. Yeah.
Well, it's going over his glasses, and you don't wear your turban over your glasses.
You can read up on. You can look on that name right there, Samihid. There's
And you can't
lots
find
of
shit.
stuff.
And you can't find shit about him.
You could earlier today.
Yeah, right.
They've been engaging in their deleting program. All right, so S2, we'll go to you first on this. So just read this off quickly. About the CR900 plane, the Delta CRJ900 crash in Toronto didn't result in serious fatalities due to several factors. The plane had less fuel after landing, reducing explosion risk. The aircraft's design absorbed impact energy, protecting passengers. The fuel tanks in the wings limited cabin exposure. The crash occurred at lower speed on landing, and swift emergency response contained any fire. These elements combined to mitigate the severity of the incident, ensuring no serious deaths despite the plane overturning. Thoughts on those comments, Steve?
I'm zeroing in on the crash occurred at lower speed on landing. Yeah, that generally happens when you hit a brick wall or the ground really fast. It slows down.
Amazingly, yes, it does.
Like I said, I mentioned all kinds of problems with these aircraft. Electronics going crazy at the last second. Landing gear problems with the braking systems. The weight balance issue. They actually put sandbags in these things to give them some ballast, and the sandbags will at times shift, affecting the plane's balance. So, like I said, it just kind of sounds like a low-tech solution to a high-tech problem to me.
It does, doesn't it? Jeff, you want to weigh in on the plane?
Well, yeah, I've flown on these planes where they've actually moved people from the front to the rear to the front to get balance, especially, because they load the cargo or the luggage, or if they're carrying cargo, but they've got to get the balance right. Any airplane, you got to get the balance right. But there's normally a computer program especially with the luggage, and they figure out the weight and they estimate and they try to, they balance it that way. But with a smaller plane, there's less wiggle room. So they'll actually say, hey, you look like a big guy. And how much you weigh? It's, well, 215 pounds. Good. Can you move up here? We're going to move you to a different seat. And I'm like, sure. My dad was a pilot. I understand what they're doing, so I'm not going to argue with them. I'm like, hey, the other big fat guy, come with me. We're going to move where they need us to move.
Well, the other problem that you have with this too is that this particular model, the seats are so crammed in there that it's hard to move people around to attain that right balance when you have seats that are crammed in that tight. In fact, others were saying that I think it was the E170 or the E175 would have been a more appropriate plane to be flying at this point, because these planes are so old, they're literally falling apart.
Yeah, appreciate that, S2. I can't remember what the model was, Jeff, but one point in time when I was 280 pounds and there was no first class, they just had extra leg room at the front of this plane. I'm 280. The guy beside me was 300 pounds. And the pilot comes out, starts laughing, and he's looking at us and he said, you two can't sit beside each other on this flight. So been there, done that.
Yeah.
And that's when I was a fat guy. I think I had a 44-inch waist at that point in time. All right. So here's another video. Go ahead.
Got a real quick, Chris. I sent you the link. Let's see. Rognald over here on YouTube pointed it out. That picture that we had up there, that guy is actually Sam Hyde. He's an American comedian.
No shit.
So that picture, not our guy.
Whoa. Hold on a second.
I sent you the link.
Yeah, I know. I got it. Look up Sam Hyde conspiracy theories. Anytime that there's somebody identified like this and they tag it with the Sam Hyde thing, it's all subterfuge. Trust me.
They did the same thing with They did the same thing with Trump's assassination, trying to say it was Sam Hyde too.
Correct.
Yeah.
The Sam Hyde thing is a pile of bullshit that they use to put people off the scent. I'm not kidding you. Look it up.
I'm just saying that picture. That's his face.
No, it's not. You go. There are other pictures out there.
Okay.
I'm telling you, they do this to throw people off the scent. It's been going on for about 3-4 years now.
Sam Hyde is a meme.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not going to chase it.
So just so you know, like that's been going on for quite a while, and I'll pull something up on it in a second, but let's watch this video quickly. 52 seconds.
New video from the Toronto plane crash shows passengers escaping the toppled over aircraft.
Yo, I was just on this plane.
A Delta flight flipped upside down while landing at Toronto Pearson International Airport after the plane's wing and tail were torn off. The plane was carrying 80 people, and thankfully all managed to get out, with 18 sustaining non-life-threatening injuries. This footage from a passenger shows the evacuation process once they got the situation under control.
Holy. Yo, I was just on this plane.
Authorities are investigating the cause of the incident, with many believing a mix of strong winds and drifting snow led to the crash. Stay tuned to Daily Mail as
So the strong wind stuff has been pretty well debunked. Next short video here is 42 seconds.
Everything, drop it. Come on.
That's sexual harassment. He grabbed her ass.
I saw that.
I'm triggered.
Doing a Trump impression.
Holy. Holy. Oh my God. Yo, I was just on this plane. Oh my God. Yo, I was
one day at band camp.
Yeah. No kidding.
So why didn't you make this meeting this afternoon? Well, boss, you're never going to believe what happened.
I've got the video to prove it.
So this has been going on for quite some time. Sam Hyde is the ghost of
Keith.
Never Trumper, Adam Kissinger, blah, blah, blah. It's been going on for quite a while. So, and then the name, I guess, is close enough, but whatever. Back to this one here. So I don't know if there's anything new you guys want to comment on there or not. We can just move on to the next one.
I just had a quick add-on to what S2 was saying about the Bombardiers. One of my guy's sons works for a private airline, and they had invested in a group of Bombardiers and executive jets, and they showed up so screwed up that they actually canceled the contract and sent the birds back to Bombardier and called up Gulfstream the same day. It was that bad.
They didn't like the bubble gum holding the doors on.
And this was just last summer.
Oh,
so yeah, Bombardier's got problems.
Very interesting. Very interesting.
Well, if I recall, Bombardier was bought out too.
Yeah.
All right, next one up. So Carolyn Levitt just torched Chuck Schumer after he tried to blame the Toronto airplane crash on Trump. It's incredibly irresponsible for Chuck Schumer to say such a thing.
Operate.
All right. Well, let's come back to.
Are you prepared for this video, Mike?
Okay, go for it.
More like a cold shower.
Goose Baba.
The plane crash in Toronto that happened yesterday, and the fact that Democrats seem to be pointing the finger of blame at the president. I'm not quite sure how you make that connection when the crash occurred in a different country. But here's what Chuck Schumer said. He said, quote, "To those asking whether it matters that the plane's destination was in Canada, the flight took off from Minneapolis. The FAA was still responsible for inspecting the aviation equipment, and Trump just let go of FAA safety specialists. We have no idea what caused this crash. We have some video of it coming in for a hard landing, but we don't know if it was a failure of equipment or if it was weather, if it was pilot error, if it was something else. And you get the minority leader in the Senate immediately pointing fingers at the president. Your response?
It's incredibly irresponsible for Chuck Schumer to say such a thing when the investigation is still underway. And as you rightfully pointed out, John, this crash unfortunately took place in Canadian airspace with Canadian air traffic controllers overseeing it. And the facts about the FAA are that no air traffic controllers have been let go by Secretary Duffy or this new administration. In fact, Secretary Duffy has put great emphasis on hiring the best and the brightest air traffic controllers who want to be part part of the FAA, and President Trump signed a very strong executive order to ensure that the FAA and all federal government agencies are focused on merit and skill-based hiring. We want the best and the brightest, the most competent individuals in positions, especially of public safety at the FAA, the Department of Transportation, and all departments across this federal government, so we can best serve the American people.
So Jeff, I'll go to you first. I'll go to you first, Jeff, and then when Mike fully regains the power of speech, we'll go to him.
He's got to pick his tongue up off the floor first.
You know, she's absolutely right. I mean, to blame Trump for a crash that happened in Canada, and before anybody even knows what happened, Chuck Schumer's just an idiot. I mean, typical Democrats. Okay, something bad happened. It must be Trump's fault. Or if it isn't, we're at least going to tell people it is.
Right. Yeah. Spin it one way or the other. Mike, are you back with us?
Yeah. I just want to say thanks, Obama.
Why not?
I mean, it carries the exact same weight as what Chuck Schumer just said.
Yeah. I got it. S2. I was just going to add a comment that her hair looks nice today.
I was just going to say Mike had to pick his tongue up off the floor.
And we've got it on video.
Yeah, whatever.
So in the same vein, here's a woke person on X saying 7 plane crashes since Trump took over and canceled DEI. So they're trying to say that canceling DEI is the cause of all these plane crashes.
And 141 food processing plants blew up.
We just landed. Our plane crashed. It's upside down. Fire department's on site. Upside down. Everybody, most people appear to be okay. We're all getting off. Some smoke going on.
It's pretty crazy footage.
And the first thing I think to do after getting off a plane that was on fire and is upside down is get my phone out and take videos.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't you?
Well, you don't expect them to actually help people or, render aid or anything silly like that. That's not their job. What's wrong with you?
All right,
So
NBC's Tom Costello blames President Trump, Elon Musk, and Doge for the Delta plane crash in Toronto. And Sarah says these people are literal swine.
I did want to, underscore to pick up on the conversation you were just having, though, in terms of the recent string of aviation incidents, Tom. This is going to yet again raise the concern about FAA staffing, air traffic control staffing. Now, this is a Canadian air traffic control tower, and this is under Canadian authority once it crosses the border. And yet, as you know, there has been this talk about maybe staff cuts at the FAA as a part of President Trump's effort to trim down the federal workforce. And yet, as you also know, the FAA has been complaining for years that they are understaffed in critical job positions, especially air traffic control. I was having a conversation with somebody today about whether air traffic control in America is being affected by the staff cuts. So far, not to their knowledge, and yet other positions related to maintaining critical equipment appear to have been cut. So this is going to feed into all of these recent incidents, and the safety of the total air traffic system is going to be very much a part of the conversation as we go forward, at least on this side of the country, of the border, I should say.
All right, Jeff.
I'm waiting for them to blame the next earthquake on the lack of air traffic controllers.
Well, of course. Why wouldn't you? All right. Next one up. Same vein. This time it's CNN's turn. Dana Bash is trying to somehow tie the plane crash in Toronto, Canada, which was clearly due to pilot error, to Trump. There's no low they won't stoop to. It says steep, but it should be stoop.
This is happening against the backdrop of massive cuts across the federal government, including at the FAA. Just going to put some up on the screen. Hundreds of FAA employees have been laid off as part of Elon Musk going through all the federal agencies. And then beyond the FAA, we have 10% of the CDC workforce. 3,400 at the U.S. Forest Service, 2,200 at the Interior Department, 2,000 at the Department of Energy, 1,000 at the VA.
Yeah, listen, and so far, at least if you kind of look at how Americans, Trump voters in particular, are reacting, so far, this is something that they haven't really been affected by. You do hear from some GOP senators who are in some of these states where they're, public parks, for instance, raising some alarms. But so far, these cuts, because they are directed at federal workers who the right has been expert at demonizing as lazy, as working from home, as costing too much, because they've been demonized. A lot of Americans say, too bad, so sad that they're being axed. We'll see how long that lasts. We'll see if there is any trickle down effect for average Americans.
I just want to read what Chuck Schumer, the top Democrat in the Senate, said. I'm thankful that everyone in the flight incident in Toronto that took off from Minneapolis is safe, but we keep seeing these incidents day after day. Meanwhile, Trump's doing massive layoffs at the FAA, including safety specialists, and making our skies less and less safe.
All right, Jeff, we'll go to you first on Chuck Schumer.
Well, I mean, we've already said it. It's just asinine stuff. They're not getting rid of any air traffic controllers. They're trying to actually hire more air traffic controllers. And they even say it's been happening for years. Well, that by definition means it's not because of Trump. He's been in office for weeks. They're just trying to shift blame. Anytime anything bad happens, they're going to try and pin it on Trump. Like I said, if there's an earthquake, they'll say it's his fault.
So Pete Buttplug says the flying public needs answers. How many FAA personnel were just fired? What positions and why? And the response, that's hypocritical. Posting this after Delta flight is crash landing in Canada, not USA with FAA. Events go wrong. 3 weeks into new admin, a buildup of mismanagement over years. By the way, Pete didn't visit East Palestine for weeks. The plank is in your eye. Save us the concern. And the next one up, actually, we got to the bottom of this whole pilot identification. So we've identified who the pilot
is. I knew it. I knew it.
I suspected it all along.
Took her 30 minutes just to give her update to the tower.
Yeah, well, the breakdown of communication was the ATC guys went to sleep as she babbled on with another word salad.
Well, Hi, tower.
Did you see the video from the weekend where they're at some play, her and her husband, and she's pontificating? Yeah. She was smashed, like totally freaking smashed. It was freaking crazy.
Well, she just lost an election. Cut her some slack. You'd be trashed too.
She was trashed before the election.
Yeah.
And like all the time.
During.
So check this out. We're 12 minutes ahead of schedule. We usually try to wrap up chapter 1 at the top of the hour. We're at 12 minutes to the hour. So quick message from our sponsor, Sawyer. We'll be right back.
The Sawyer Mini is the most versatile personal filtration system available. It's a perfect solution for backpacking, hiking, hunting, fishing, scouting, international travel, and emergency preparedness. At a mere 2 ounces, the Mini fits in the palm of your hand and can filter up to 100,000 gallons of water from any freshwater lake, river, or stream. The Sawyer Mini has a 0.1 micron absolute pore size. It was tested to 10 million parts of bacteria and 1 million parts of protozoa without a single breakthrough. This is the highest level filters can be tested to, so we're confident these are the highest rates of filtration available.
All right, so first story up in Chapter 2. If you're new to Survival Dispatch News, Chapter 2, we cover 10, 12, 15, 20 news headlines. So Senator Rand Paul has announced that Elon Musk's Doge is officially investigating the nation's gold stockpile at Fort Knox and other facilities. S2 and I discussed this last night, or was it the previous night? I can't remember which night it was. It all blends together. But Jeff and Mike want to get your No, it wasn't. It was Mike and I last night that talked about it. Told you it's just a blur. So Jeff first, then S2, your comments on the gold at Fort Knox. Is it still there? You're on mute, Jeff. You're good.
No, I think it probably is, just because it's kind of hard to subtly move, 4,300 tons of gold without somebody noticing. At least it sure as hell better be there. They might be a brick or two short. If you're the night guard and you're about to retire, okay, I'll slip it in my lunchbox and walk out with it. Who's gonna know? I don't know when the last time they did an accounting of it, though.
1970 something, early 1970s. Last time.
Jeez. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, maybe it's
actually, I believe it was in 1984.
This could be like Radar O'Reilly. Every day, he mails a piece of a Jeep home to mom. Maybe somebody smuggled out a gold bar once a week or every Friday.
I want to see the visitors logs. Where was Bob Menendez that day?
That's right.
So
actually see if there's any wrappers. It's like, so that's where that big gold medallion came from.
Yeah. So the last time that Fort Knox was audited was September 23rd, 1974. Just to clear that up. Any other thoughts as to before we move on?
Well, there are massive amounts of gold that are supposedly being moved from London to the United States.
All over Europe.
Well, they're specifically bringing it into the United States, and there seems to be some things that are being uncovered about BlackRock and Bank of America being in cahoots with gold leases, where BlackRock leased a certain amount of gold to Bank of America, and something happened to that gold that basically BlackRock was shorting gold prices, and Bank of America went into the hole on it. So when it came time to pay back the gold to BlackRock, their leases, they couldn't do it. So now it's looking like Bank of America could go under because of BlackRock's shorting of the gold prices.
Wow.
So this is what I think they're in a panic for, because I think they very possibly could have robbed the nation's gold stockpile to make up for that difference, because BlackRock obviously and Bank of America are too big to fail. So they're trying to replace this before anybody can get their hands on it.
Very interesting.
So what I was saying as to is it's not just coming from London. It's coming from several different places across Europe, all to the U.S., which is a little weird.
Well, the big problem with it coming from London is London can't cover it. They're basically telling people, yeah, you bought gold from us, but we don't got it to give you.
Yep.
Well, the second largest gold deposit, I think probably in the world, is in New York City. It's the New York
COMEX.
There's a gold vault under Manhattan, which is where a lot of the commercial banks do their trading, and they move it from one section to somebody else's section to kind of even accounts. So there's a shit ton of gold sitting under New York City at any given time.
So I threw out a possibility earlier today to the insiders, and I'm not sure if you two saw it. I know Chris saw it, but what if they go in there, and I know this is a real stretch. What if they go in there and there's more in there than there's supposed to be? Because let's face it, both Saddam and Gaddafi had some pretty big stashes of gold, and where'd they go?
Yeah.
Good question.
Yeah, I mean, if you look at the history of the world, I mean, Hitler basically pillaged the gold reserves of every country he conquered. And Russia did it more subtly. What they did when Spain was in the middle of the Civil War and the Republican, the quote-unquote Republican part of the government was in control of the national banks, Stalin said, it's awful dangerous in this part of the world. Why don't we take your gold reserve? We'll send it to Moscow for safekeeping. Well, and then when the Republicans lost, Moscow went, what gold? And they basically kept the entire gold reserves of the country of Spain and stuck it in their back pocket.
Wow. All right, moving on to the next one here. Breaking: Doge discovers USAID secretly funnels $4 billion to Bill Gates, plus another $800 million to the World Health Organization, that also received an additional $700 million. Jeff,
Shocked.
Yeah,
I'm shocked.
Yeah.
Shocked, I say, shocked.
Well, this is why the UN and the WHO in particular are literally shitting Twinkies over the whole USAID going down in flames, because on top of what we give them above the table, we're giving them hundreds of millions of billions of dollars under the table. Just like you saw with Politico, getting propped up to these, $10,000 subscriptions of, Politico Pro, which cracks me up. It's like, well, yeah, we do analysis of government policy. So the government spends 10 grand to get Politico's assessment of the government's own policies. Well, why did the government just talk to itself? Why does Politico in the mix? Well, it's because they're just laundering money. So, yeah, I think you're going to see a lot of organizations, if they're successful in getting rid of USAID, you're going to see a lot of organizations just go belly up, because they're secretly being funded by us. And if we yank that, they all collapse, which they should.
Yeah, I agree.
Oh, you mean like all of these judges, NGOs that are getting money from?
Yeah. Well, most of the NGOs in the world are being propped up by us. They shouldn't, and most of them should go down because they're crap.
Yeah. S2 on that topic. Did you happen to catch that crooked judge in Rhode Island that we discussed previously?
Oh yeah, I put a big write-up on him in the Signal chat yesterday.
Go ahead and mention that. Mike and I touched on it last night, but go ahead and expand on that now that y'all are on the NGO topic.
So he is I forget what his position is, emeritus something. He's on the board of this NGO in Rhode Island, who basically what they do is they supposedly provide housing for the homeless. Well, it just turns out that they're also part of a consortium of 33 other NGOs that are supporting illegal immigration into this country. And Dollars to Donuts says that NGO is working with another one called the Refugee Dream Center out of Rhode Island, who is basically doing all of the background processing of the illegals coming into that state. And they got to have somewhere to live. So let's go talk to this NGO over here for this judge. So when they cut off all of the money to these NGOs, all of the judges started freaking out. And that's why he can't say that, yes, Trump is doing exactly what he can do. Because it would affect his NGO's bottom line. And I don't know whether he's a compensated member of this board or what, but he's getting a kickback from somewhere.
For sure. Here's just a quick write-up on it. Activist judge who blocked Trump spending freezes, hidden money ties, not to mention the fact he paid $700,000 out in Democrat donations and got a lifetime appointment to the bench in return for that.
And there was another little tidbit on this too. By the way, the Refugee Dream Center is also tied to Princeton University. It's their program.
Imagine that. So federal judge John McConnell failed to disclose his role at Crossroads, Rhode Island while ruling against Trump's spending freeze. His nonprofit received $128 million in government funding during his 18-year board tenure, including $42 million from 2020 to 2023. Rhode Island, a plaintiff in the case, already sent his organization $2.9 million in 2025. The judge ordered federal funds to keep flowing to states and, coincidentally, to his own nonprofit. Federal law requires judges to recuse themselves when their impartiality might be questioned. Wonder why he didn't. Yeah,
well, that look on his face right there looks like he just shit his pants.
It does, doesn't it? I mean, it's the Biden look, right? So, all right. Next one up, Mike, is coming to you, and this is interesting. This is, I want to say, twice in the past few days that I've actually thrown something up from Axios, which is normally just a bunch of left-wing drivel.
Yeah,
but,
weird.
Yeah, it's very weird. So, behind the curtain, America's drone swarm crisis. Mike and I started covering this over a couple years ago, sounding the alarm bells. And shortly after we did it, somebody flew a drone into a Thursday night football game to Cleveland Browns Stadium, and everybody just stood there and looked at it. And there's been intel since shortly after 2001 that Al Qaeda would love to attack open air venues with things like aerosolized fentanyl, aerosolized anthrax, et cetera, et cetera. So here we go. Ask NFL executives their biggest fear, and it has nothing to do with fans, players, or TV rights. It's drones, which are hard for authorities to track and almost impossible to stop if ever unleashed over an open air stadium. When we first reported on this a couple years ago, Mike brought up that the Iranian Revolutionary Guard, I want to say it was 2019, used software from Hollywood called Drone Swarm, where at the time one operator could control up to 5,000 drones to send a couple dozen drones into Saudi Arabia. And inside of 20 minutes, they knocked out 5% of the world's oil production. And that software, by the way, now has been upgraded, expanded. It can handle up to 15,000 drones. One operator is typically used for light shows. So ask U.S. intelligence experts their biggest fears, and you'll inevitably hear dire warnings of drone swarms, domestic or foreign, targeting American soil. Probe deeper, you'll learn that the vast majority of these drones are made by China and therefore conceivably controlled by America's greatest adversary. TikTok is accused of being a security threat, but it can't spy or drop bombs. So I want to add to this before we move on. Just before Trump took office, DJI, which is the world's largest drone manufacturer, approximately 90% of the drones in America are from DJI, about 60% government, by the way, and they're technically government agencies aren't supposed to use them, but they took off the geofencing, which meant that if you tried to fly one of their drones into restricted airspace prior to this change, it wouldn't. So they removed that, and essentially anybody who flies a drone into restricted airspace, that information is being immediately relayed back to, the Chinese. And it's pretty obvious DJI is an extension of the CCP. So why it matters, look at the skies of Syria, Russia. Many squinted and said New Jersey, and the future of terrorism and warfare is on vivid display. Drones gather intelligence, guide artillery, and shape battle plans. Between the lines, the NFL fears based on gaps in authority among local, state, and federal authorities. A league source calls the lack of coordination as potentially dangerous and unsustainable. Laws, regulations, and enforcement mechanisms have not caught up with the technology and proliferation of these machines, the source said. The general distrust is institutions and general paranoia about the deep state makes unidentified flying objects that dwell over our communities particularly menacing. Are we being watched? If so, by whom? And they sound like swarms of insects. Well, we are being watched because we know here in Florida that insurance companies are flying drones somewhere in the neighborhood of 5,000 feet above ground, which means you can't see them with the naked eye, but they're gathering information on people's properties. And then, an insurance adjuster will reach out and say, oh, by the way, we noticed that you have whatever on your property, or you have something in your backyard. Oh, you have a power breed and you're not allowed to have whatever the breed is. So that's absolutely already happening. So White House Press Secretary Carolyn Leavitt-Sterling began her first briefing by confirming something that had long been apparent. Last fall's feverish drone spottings in the Northeast were mostly sightings of airplanes. Blah, blah, blah. Good article. Go to patreon.com, sign up for Survival Dispatch Insider membership, and you can get all of our sit reps that has all of our links. Mike, we're going to let you essentially cover this, the threat, the defense, the whole 9 yards for our audience, assuming that many of the people who now follow SDN were not following us when we started on this path over 2 years ago.
So yeah, we did a whole series of videos on these. God, what was that, 2 years ago?
Over 2 years ago.
Good Lord. That was a long time ago, man. I've slept since then.
Yeah.
The bottom line is drone swarms are terrifying. If you want to see a really great example, watch that movie. What is it? White House Down or Angel is Fallen.
Angel is Fallen.
That's it. Yeah. Watch Angel is Fallen. Great example of a drone swarm. Now the drones don't maneuver quite as much as they do in that, but man, I'll tell you what, they are absolutely terrifying. They just did a drone swarm exercise at Fort Bragg recently, And just
say that again, Mike.
I said that ballistic glass isn't going to help you when it comes down to 2-pound explosive charges.
Drones don't maneuver quite like that, and that's absolutely not accurate because these.
I didn't say that.
I said that. I said they're not going to maneuver that much because they don't need to.
No, yeah, absolutely, but they absolutely can. Especially the smaller Cinewhoops can maneuver just like that, even though it was CGI or whatever.
Yeah, it's like what we've seen in videos coming out of Ukraine, where the drone will actually, will chase somebody down as they run through the woods and then drop a freaking hand grenade on them.
Yeah, the best countermeasure thus far has been electronic countermeasures. Yeah. I mean, if they're already running, I mean, if they're electronically tethered to a controller, hit an electronic countermeasure, cut their electronic string, and they'll shut down. But the big thing that you got to do these days, if they're running autonomous like these, you got to have an EM gun.
EMP.
The only way to stop them is to affect their gyros.
Yeah, you got to EM gun them.
Yeah. Which is interesting. I can't recall if you were on or not, Mike, S2, or maybe Jeff was. It was recently released that on July 13th, when crooks tried to kill President Trump, as they were leaving, there was a drone on their tail, and one of the Secret Service guys had to get out and use an electromagnetic weapon of some sort to disable it and take it down. So it lends credence to the fact that there was more than just this 21-year-old misfit, right? With 3 bank accounts in overseas. And
the question is, did they recover the drone?
Yeah, for sure. And that's actually one of the big reasons for the EMP type guns, because when Mike and I first put this out there, the pundits beat us up for it. The first thing was the drone in the football stadium. The second thing was an RFP on sam.gov asking for requests for proposals on EMP powered weapons to take drones down so that we could recover intel from them. And what's sam.gov, Mike? You're familiar with it.
Systems for Award Management. The entire federal government puts out contracts there.
Yeah. So it's every federal contractor has to go through sam.gov essentially.
On who?
Right. Well, unless you're with the USAID, and then it's all
right.
Just a formality.
Right.
Funny, not funny. All right. Social Security data shows millions more eligible recipients than living Americans, Musk reveals. No sense of reading below this, but S2 already mentioned this with regards to Trump speaking this afternoon. Jeff, I'll go to you quickly on this one for your thoughts. Where would you speculate the money's potentially going?
Well, I know my great-great-grandmother, she uses hers to buy pickles and to pay her electric bill. So it's very vital that these old dead people get that money. And when you're voting in Chicago, you got to survive between elections. So you got to have food and shelter.
So
Jeff, my heart goes out to your grandmother.
Great-great-grandmother.
Great-great-grandmother, yes. Yeah. Your 160-year-old great-great-grandmother.
Exactly.
So here's a little tidbit that I mentioned earlier today on the Signal channel that some people may not know, is that if you have a spouse or an ex-spouse that dies, you can apply to get their Social Security benefits. So that counts even if you have an ex-spouse who dies and even if they have remarried, you can still apply to get access to that, which keeps that money flowing. So I would say probably a portion of that may be what that is, but not a lot of people know about that little thing there.
Well, but it's not going to be, how many people, okay, if you have the original recipient is 150 years old. Okay.
It's an additional
how much of a trophy
million.
Wife I know, but how much of a trophy wife did he have that he's was born 150 years ago and she's still drawing on his Social Security?
Anna Nicole married for love.
Was like 9.
I believe this is the speech or the press conference, pardon me, that S2 mentioned And there was one was 360 years old.
Yeah.
People that live to 100 to 109, 4,734,000. Wow, that's a lot. People that are 120 years old up to 129, 3,472,000 people. Wow. People from 130 years old to 139 year old, 3,936,000. Wow. People from 140 years old to 149 years old, 3,542,000. 140 years old. People from 150 years old to 159 years old, 1,345,000. Wait a minute. People from 160 years old to 169 years, 121,000. 170 to 179,000, 6,087. From 200 to 209 years old, 879 people. From 210 years old, I haven't met any of them. And if I did, I would bless them. I would worship the ground they walk on. 210 to 219 years, 866. From 220 years old to 229 years old, 1,039. From 240 years old to 249 years old, one person. And there's one person that's 360 years old.
That would be Methuselah.
I mean, accounting errors only go so far.
Yeah, this is fraud.
I think you have to go back and look at where those checks were going, and I probably wouldn't doubt that they were going to some hotels in New York.
Yeah,
I'd say some forensic accounting is in order here.
And
Well-
probably going overseas too.
I know S2 and I discussed this last week. The other thing on the Social Security database is it's not been deduplicated. So that means that there could be multiple duplicates for people. So that just compounds and adds to the scam on top of it.
Well,
right?
they probably deduplicated it to give him that data. So
Probably, but officially it hadn't been done.
Actually, what Musk did, he went in there and then he put, he basically looked for anybody who wasn't dead, and that's where these numbers came from.
Yeah,
they put death and then they put false, like they're not dead, and that's where he got all these numbers.
And if you watch CNN and MSNBC, he then redirected all of that money to his own personal account.
Yeah,
just saying, him and Big Balls.
You got to get paid.
Him and Big Balls. Yeah. All right. So
that's why I have my chickens, because I got to get paid.
There you go. Somehow in Germany, you're not allowed to talk about migration or the facts. Why is the Democratic Party committing suicide? Same reason. None of us want to live in that society, and it's not bigoted to say, wait a minute, this isn't working. It's 2 minutes, 49 seconds. I'm only going to play a portion of this.
Relate one of them to something you just said. You lived in Germany for half your life. Yeah. And there is a big debate going on about the politics in Germany right now. You're also Jewish. And there is support, and you've even seen it over the weekend. Marco Rubio and Elon Musk and others have been very supportive of the alt-right movement in Germany, while there have been questions about their association with some supporting Nazis and other things. I'm curious where you land on that.
I don't want to go into the technical weeds here, but the problem in Germany is that somehow the small portion of Germans that believe you cannot talk about migration without being a bigot, which is about probably 15%, 90% of them vote for the Green parties, have somehow tricked the larger parties into saying they will only vote for things if the far right doesn't vote with them, which basically, as a matter of pragmatic power, shifts all immigration policy to a small group of people that literally will not let you discuss the fact that Afghani immigrants to Germany have a 70x propensity compared to German population to commit certain kind of crimes. And that in the last couple of weeks, every single terror attack has been the result.
Did you go to jail for pointing that out?
You'll get into trouble, but this is the weird thing. Again, there's a lesson in this book, which is do not allow yourself to become a product of people you may tacitly agree with. So, like, I'm sympathetic with non-discrimination. I don't believe in discrimination across any variable, but you are being turned into a product by a certain small sector of the left because you're not allowed to talk about facts.
So we covered some of this previously, and I actually think we might have a few memes in chapter 3 on this. Jeff, will send it over your way first.
Well, it's totally asinine that, and then the Germans will come up and say, no, we have free speech in Germany, which is total crap. I mean, Germany, France, Britain is horrible. Putting people in jail for saying things or posting a meme, and that CBS News, that 60 Minutes broadcast, they showed a raid on a guy's house at 6 o'clock in the morning because he posted a meme or a joke that someone said, oh, you might be offended. Well,
yeah.
I don't care if you're offended. Everything you do offends me. You're not going to jail for it. Why should I go to jail for offending you? The Nazis, there's a reason why both the Nazis, the Gestapo, and Stasi originated in Germany. And I had a friend who worked in Austria, and he used to joke. He goes, scratch an Austrian, you'll find a Nazi. He goes, there's a reason Hitler was born in Austria. But yeah, they are very totalitarian over there. And, they make this lovey-dovey peace, love, hope, kind of attitude now. But as you see, if you disagree with them, man, they drop the hammer on your ass.
But Margaret Brennan from CBS says that Hitler weaponized free speech, and that's how the Nazis conquered Germany.
Yeah. Exactly.
Frankly, Margaret, I don't care.
I'm Arnold. Fuck your freedom.
Yeah. All right. Next one up. Secretary Rowland's USDA exploring federal solution to stop China from purchasing U.S. farmland. So
Andrew Bailey.
We have Andrew Bailey's an acquaintance of mine. His chief of staff is a friend of mine. And I spoke to his chief of staff last week, James Lawson. And we have Andrew Bailey coming on Survival Dispatch News again imminently. Possibly this week, most likely next week, though. And the reason that S2 just mentioned that, and the reason that I mentioned it, is Andrew Bailey sued China, the CCP, for $25 billion in damages caused to the people of Missouri from the Wuhan virus. And the Chinese, of course, made a big deal out of it that, this was illegal, et cetera, et cetera. And Andrew Bailey petitioned the court and said, look, if they don't give us the $25 billion, we want all of the land that they've purchased in the state of Missouri. And so the Chinese petitioned the judge to throw it out. And the judge said, no, I'm not throwing this out. This actually has legs. And Andrew Bailey he came from a blue collar background, served in the military, combat vet, went through law school on the GI Bill. So he's not part of that upper echelon, so to speak. And Todd Callender, our good friend Todd Callender, is a very esteemed attorney himself, said that Andrew Bailey is one of the best attorneys in the entire country, whether they be on the government or private side. If he wins this, you're going to see every single red state do the same thing. So maybe the USDA's got some legs for the other states, but I think there's a pretty good chance Andrew Bailey wins it because the judge has said some very favorable things towards that case. So S2, do you want to roll with that since you're familiar with it?
I had also heard that the Chinese didn't show up to court.
No kidding.
So basically that basically puts them in the driver's seat to say they don't even care to show up to court. We win. And judgment by default without prejudice.
Yeah, good point. Good point. All right, next one up, a minivan being used for deportation efforts by ICE has been set on fire in Philadelphia. This is literal terrorism, and Democrats are inciting this. Lock them up. 31 seconds.
Somebody left their mag in the van.
I was just thinking the same thing.
steer clear of that rear bumper. Once those pistons heat up, that rear bumper is coming out of there, going to slap into that cop car.
Oh, it's not going to go that far. Damn it. I wanted to see it.
Yeah, that's the end of it right there. But Mike, since you're the bomb guy, comments on that.
Yeah, just these guys said it is, somebody left their mag in there and it's popping rounds. Yeah, the most dangerous thing about that, like I said, is to the rear of a vehicle like that. There's pistons on the rear bumpers, and yeah, that rear bumper's coming flying out of there once those pistons get really, really hot. But there you go. I mean, we've been telling everybody you're gonna get pushback on this. We knew there was going to be pushback, and that's where your pushback starts.
We're only seeing the tip of the iceberg.
For sure. Jeff, I want to go to you, just the political side of this, that they're setting ICE vehicles on fire. You're on mute, Jeff.
What ICE needs to do is when they arrest an illegal, if that illegal has a minivan, confiscate it, paint it, and use it for deportations.
Not a bad idea at all.
Why paint it? Leave it the color it is.
True.
Just magnetic signs right on the side. Slap them on, just like.
Yeah, think about all those little taco trucks and stuff that they have. Just use those instead.
Yeah, they hold more people.
Hey, go mess with the taco trucks, man. Go mess with. You know what? They're sacrosanct.
Okay, falafel trucks.
Yeah. Okay. Yes. Falafel trucks. Yes. Okay. Nobody likes falafel.
And hot dog stands.
Hey. I like that.
So haven't you heard, Mike? You're not allowed to eat at taco stands anymore. That's cultural appropriation. If we're going to throw the beaners out of the country, you're not allowed to eat their food.
I grew up in LA. Watch me.
I'm in Arizona, man. We lived on that stuff.
Right. Take away my tacos. See what happens next.
In my high school, instead of hamburgers, there was bean burros that you could always get every day, no matter what.
We were building the Montgomery wards in downtown Fort Worth, the early 1990s, and didn't make a whole lot of money as a kid at that time. I was in my early 20s. Every single day we go to Taco Bell, $2, 3 bean burritos, and a soda. That was it. Got us through the day though.
That's nutrition
right
there.
Leave a car with you though.
Yeah, boy, howdy. That were a bunch of construction workers. Anyway, this is a really interesting interview. I'm not going to play the whole thing. Would encourage you to either look it up, Mario Nawfal, Nawfal, or go grab our sit rep from patreon.com/survival dispatch. If you sign up $9.99, you get all of our sit reps every single day. Invite to the signal chat that S2 has been discussing. We've had a couple days recently, by the way. There's been over 2,000 messages in there. It's a massive volume of information sharing, but this is pretty crazy stuff here. This happened a little while ago, not too long ago, but a little while ago. And this is the overall state of the technocrats in Europe. So the interview that will shake the EU and maybe help save democracy. Kalin was meant to be president of Romania. Instead, the election was canceled, and he, along with his team, are being raided and harassed. I remember asking him privately why we're having the interview in his friend's home. His response, Mario, it's the only place I feel safe. How can the European Union allow or facilitate this coup d'etat? So I flew to Romania to interview him, and he did not hold back. We discussed how the election was stolen, whether the EU was directly involved, the importance of Trump, Elon Musk, and J.D. Vance, and whether more EU elections could be similarly canceled. So here's what happened. Actually, this one's only 55 seconds. I had a longer one queued up. I'll play this. But the EU accused the Russians of election interference vis-a-vis TikTok, and therefore canceled the winning vote for this guy, who's like the Romanian equivalent of Trump. 55 seconds.
So let me put very clear this. So they canceled the election. Yeah. The second round of the election was canceled illegally and unconstitutionally. The second round on December 6th, correct? By chance, the situation was fast that nobody can understand how we didn't realize for the moment, because it was a shock, for everybody. But after that, I realized that it's quite fine, because during the time after the December 6th, the corruption was exposed, and we arrived on the table a lot of things which we didn't believe before that can be possible.
Oh, wow. That blew my ears out. Apologies for that. Jeff, come to you first.
Yeah.
This is crazy.
Well, yeah, this was, I mean, they just stole an election. They threw out that, the Russians interfere, so we're going to cancel the election. And because the winning candidate was on the right. So they just canceled. And then they did an investigation. And afterwards, a lot of people said, hey, we've looked at this. There wasn't any Russian disinformation. There wasn't any massive fraud. There was no reason for you to cancel the election. And they went, oops, our bad. But they didn't reinstate the guy. They just said, oh, well, we'll just have to deal with it later the next time. Yeah, it's just blatant authoritarianism out of the EU. And they've already said we did it there. And if we have to, we'll do it in Germany to keep the ADF or the AFD, the Alternative for Deutschland, from winning. If they win the next election, you're going to see the same thing. And the AFD will win the next election.
Is it going to start at a beer hall in Munich?
It's certainly looking that way for sure. Esther, you want to wrap up on this one? This is the last part for chapter 2.
Well, they're kind of doing the same thing right now with Ukraine, where I think one of the conditions is I think Putin wants this condition, and I think Trump wants it too, is they have to have a new election in Ukraine to elect a new president. And basically, Zelensky's saying, no, we're not doing that. I've declared martial law. We're not having any more elections.
That's right.
Yeah.
I appreciate you mentioning that.
So saving democracy by canceling elections.
Right. Yeah, that's exactly what they're saying. True irony. So before we go into chapter 3 tonight, I put this picture up on half a dozen different AI detectors, and half of them said it wasn't AI generated, and the other half said it was. So clearly, it reports it as fake, and we knew it was Photoshop with the turban. You can see that this is much less sophisticated. So up here where my cursor is, these spots that you see over here means these are basically artifacts, remnants. So you can see that shows up on this. My apologies. There's the top one. Here's the bottom one that shows where it's like a heat map of sorts. And then the next one here predicts that this is fake as well. So we know it's fake. I'll dig into it deeper tonight or tomorrow. Before then, we've got a 7-second message from our friends at Flex Industries. So flexindustries.com, discount code SD17, S is in Sam, D is in David, gets 17% off. That's not an affiliate link. I don't get paid any money from it. Survival Dispatch doesn't get paid any money from it. It's a friend of mine. He's been in the trigger game for a long, long time. He's got some badass triggers, and he launched this company a couple months ago. Would appreciate any support that y'all could give him. Super guy, kick-ass products, great support, lifetime warranty on his stuff, by the way. Glock triggers, AR triggers, AK triggers, etc., etc. All right, so speaking of Europe, here's a video on the British cops coming to America. Y'all may recall the head of the Metro UK police department said that they were going to come over here and arrest any of us exercising our First Amendment right if we hurt somebody's feelings in Great Britain, or if we publicize something that showed migrants in a bad light, like 70% of violent crime being committed by them or something to that effect. And of course, good luck with that. But this video is good. It's very enlightening.
Can I help you? Hello, are you Josh? Yeah. What's up? Nice to meet you. I'm Police Constable Archibald Waltham Comsbley, and I'm here to investigate a crime. Constable? You're from the UK or? From London, yeah. Okay. This is the United States, though. Well, as you know, the UK did say that we would show up to America and stop online hate speech. That's really dumb. But also, I've never said anything hateful online like that. Actually, last week on Facebook, someone with your username said that beans on toast is disgusting. Beans on toast is disgusting. That's like a fact. That's not hate speech at all. That's just the truth. That's classified as hate speech in the UK. So unfortunately, you've got to go to jail. Oh, a British cop is going to take me to jail now? Yeah. Sorry, mate. Hey, quick question. What kind of British handgun do you guys carry as cops from England? Guns? No, we're from the UK. We don't have those. So how do you defend yourself if, say, someone doesn't want to go to jail? I have a stern voice and a positive attitude. You know what? Why don't you take one of mine? Because this is not going to be a fair fight. Wait, what?
So for those of you new to Survival Dispatch News, Chapter 3, funny videos, memes, interesting stories, stuff like this. All right, moving on to the next one. This is what I voted for from Cat Turd. This is a good 41-second video, released by the White House, no less.
I see some soft politician hands there.
That's funny. Glorious. This one's a little bit long, so I might fast forward a little bit at one point, but this guy is a legend, and he wants everybody to know that he's a legend.
Don't stand there and try and give it to me. You'll knock you the out. Talk then, you knock. What have you? What? Don't try and stand there and give it to me, because I'll kick the out of all of you. We will go inside now, and we will have it. All right? Don't try and stand there and give it to me. No. Off. What? You all think you're big boys? I'm from Margate, right? And I will kick the out of all of you.
He is no longer a legend.
Yeah, I was about to say.
Kind of like if a guy that's that tall falls over in the forest, did he make a sound?
We'll
All
never
right.
know.
That's Donald Trump's approval rating amongst Republicans is 99 points higher than Mitch McConnell's. Trump plus 82, McConnell negative 17. Turns out being an anti-Trump Republican is one of the most unpopular positions in politics. Who could have seen this coming? I'll play a portion of this.
Talk a little bit about Mitch McConnell and the chance he's going to become a folk hero. It ain't going to likely happen. At his net approval ratings, he is underwater with everybody. He has got the ultimate, or some might say, sad trifecta of being underwater overall, minus 39 points. 39 percentage points more of the electorate disapproves than approves of the jobs that he has done. How about Democrats? He's 58 points underwater. My goodness gracious, the chance that all of a sudden, just because he cast 3 votes against Trump, that he'd somehow become a folk hero with them is absolutely, frankly, insane. And then with Republicans, of course, he's gone up against Trump before, and that's why he's 17 points underwater with Republicans. When you're underwater with Democrats, Republicans, and overall, the chance that you're going to become a folk hero, it seems rather low to me, Paula.
Yes, indeed. All right, here's the next.
Anybody
He's
want
from Kentucky. He's literally underwater right now.
Yeah, that too.
He's a scumbag.
Yeah, cocaine Mitch, scumbag indeed. All right, Mike and ST, you guys will love this. U.S. soldiers compared to European soldiers. 1 minute 7 seconds.
Oh yeah, I love this video.
Can we even compare U.S. soldiers to European soldiers? In Iraq, French soldiers had a saying, "You better pray that you have an American in your squad." Why? One French soldier wrote about why after coming back from Iraq. Americans are taller and stronger than Europeans. The average American is strong, very strong. The weakest American was stronger than the strongest soldier in the French units. Americans were impressive. If you were in trouble, you prayed that an American unit took up the radio call for help. Why? When Americans picked up the call, their reply was simple: "Sit tight, we are coming to get you." With Europeans, there were delays or logistical issues, but the Americans were fully committed to your rescue. It's in their blood, no man left behind. They came no matter how bad the situation was, and when they arrived, they knew more about the threats in the area than the unit in trouble that had been there for hours. There was also an amazing fact. In all other forces, if an officer was taken out, you're taught to dig in or give up the position and retreat, not the Americans. If an American falls, all hell breaks loose, and they go on a rabid attack. If you harm an American, very little will save you. Please follow. The scariest sound in combat is an American saying, "Oh, hell no."
ST will go to you first, and then Mike.
Yeah, the scariest sound is more like "Devil dog."
I would like to remind everybody real quick that there are only two actual military services in the United States military. You got the Army and the Navy. The Air Force is a corporation. The Marine Corps is a cult. And that's the way we like them. And by the way, they messed that up. That was not from a French soldier in Iraq. That was from a French soldier in Afghanistan. And yeah, he was right. Don't shoot the American officer. The American officer is the one that's got the leash on everybody. Man, you shoot the American officer, you just took out the one guy who was the adult in the room.
Yeah, if there's a rabid dog about to attack you, the last thing you want to do is take out the guy holding the leash.
It's just fucking stupid. I mean, we don't like our officers most of the time, but damn, if we're going to let you kill one of them.
Yeah.
We're just taught to step up and fill the hole.
Yeah, I mean, really. And so that it's SOP from day one when you join the U.S. military. When in doubt, attack. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about it.
I mean, and this dates back a long time. I'm not going to go into the story I've told before about American leadership, but after the Second World War, the Germans were notorious for saying we absolutely despise fighting the Americans. Anybody else we fought, if we killed the leader, regardless of what level it was, that would nullify them. But another American would just step into the leadership role and keep on coming. And it broke the paradigm for them, right? They were trained, kill the leader, that squad or even bigger platoon, whatever, is going to back off, and it doesn't work. But although this latest generation scares me a little bit, to be honest with you on that. All right, next one up. This is pretty crazy. And this was just recently, by the way, what's the date on this? February 18th, so published today. U.S. Special Forces on Thursday rescued 7 American children guarded by child traffickers in a maze of subterranean tunnels beneath Dallas, Texas. On Wednesday evening, the general received a tip from a prior service Marine and current Dallas County police officer, a tip that Venezuelan gang members were holding several child hostages near San Jacinto Street in what was once called the Dallas Pedestrian Network, a system of grade-separated walkways covering 36 city blocks of downtown Dallas. The subterranean labyrinth was once envisioned as a solution to urban congestion. Construction began in the early 1970s to connect buildings, garages, and parks, creating a climate-controlled oasis for pedestrians. The planners promised a convenient and comfortable way to navigate downtown Dallas, shielding residents and visitors from harsh weather. It was a bold and innovative concept for its time, but as the city evolved, the tunnels fell into disuse, and today, while still accessible in some areas, have become largely forgotten. Now they are frequented by the homeless, social media influencers seeking photographs, and we now know child trafficking cartels. General Smith didn't question the tipster's integrity, but asked him why he hadn't notified his DPD superiors or the FBI, the governing body that investigates child abductions. The informant reportedly said he distrusted his immediate supervisors and the feds and sent the general a photograph he had taken showing a masked gunman shoving a young boy into a tunnel entrance. He told General Smith he had a feeling the kids might soon be moved elsewhere or taken south of the border. General Smith, on the side of caution, and called on his allies at U.S. Army Special Operations Command to investigate the tipster's story. General Smith had conferred with Lieutenant General Kenneth E. Tovo and asked whether a 5th Special Force Group A team was available to infiltrate the tunnels and eliminate child traffickers without causing harm to any children held hostage. Special Forces found 7 bound and gagged children lying prone, I would think, but that's a strange choice of words there, on pieces of cardboard. The emaciated and dehydrated kids were removed from the tunnel and will remain under military protection until they're identified and can be repatriated with their families. Jeff, go to you first.
I've been through that network. It connects a lot of the buildings in downtown Dallas, and it was a way to avoid the heat or rain or anything else. You could literally move all the way around town underground, and we used it in the CIA. We did training exercise there, and they would use it when they're running surveillance to make sure no one's following you. You dump down the tunnels. I didn't realize they'd fallen into disuse. It's been it's been more than a decade since I was there. But they do go all over, and there are parts that are maybe they're under a building that's kind of abandoned now or something like that, so there's no traffic through them anymore, and they are kind of old and kind of ratty. So I can see someone moving into them because you can pop up anywhere in the city, and if you're in the part of the tunnel system that no one ever goes to anymore, and it's kind of sketch, you're probably pretty safe down there because I don't think cops hardly ever. I never saw a cop down.
Interesting. I'm thinking Mike next, but I'm thinking Mike when you mentioned way back when that most people don't consider the 4th element of urban warfare, which is underground.
The 4th dimension.
Yeah, go ahead and roll with that for our audience.
Yeah, so if you want a great read about that sort of thing, War of the Rats. Great book. It's about Stalingrad, and it goes very deeply into a lot of the subterranean fighting that happened in there. They made a movie on it, or on part of it, which was Enemy at the Gates. Yeah, underground. Yeah, real pain in the butt. I was so happy that they didn't have a major underground sewer network in Solder City. God, I was so happy about that. But this is the same kind of crap that the Israelis are having to deal with in Gaza. You've got 300 plus miles of tunnel systems there, and they haven't even found all of it, much less mapped it.
Paid for by all of us.
Yeah.
Right. Exactly. So now having 5th group do this, I don't know, not 5th group's AO. We're in Texas, 7th group maybe, but I don't know. But yeah, creeping around down underground like that, man, that is I don't like that at all. Yeah. We did a nuke exercise in those damn tunnels too, Jeff. And
did you?
Yeah. So yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about, man. Those tunnels give me the
parts are really nice, and they have like restaurants, and they're under these really fancy buildings, and other parts really sketch.
Yeah. We went into some of the real sketchy areas.
Yeah, I did. I went through every tunnel in that town while casing. So
yeah,
interesting. There's a whole conversation below this post on asking what happens to these children. So if they're sold into child sex trafficking, they have an average lifespan of 3 years. They either kill themselves or they're just disposed of by Trenda or Rog or whoever's pimping them out. TDA is a big one for it. They pimp them out on average 15 to 20 times a day. This is information from JJ Carroll, by the way. And they net somewhere around $250,000 per year per victim. And some of the children aren't sold into child sex trafficking, but they're sold into essentially slave labor. They have a life expectancy of 5 years. So it's absolutely horrific. We're the world leader in child sex trafficking, human trafficking. Absolutely disgusting that it's here in America. S2, I don't know if you want to take a swing at this or not.
I don't have anything further to offer.
Okay. All right. So next one up. This is really close. We've been getting really close to the lady who tried to steal the Christmas tree by shoving it 2 feet up her vagina and then essentially bleeding profusely and having to be rescued. They thought she'd been assaulted at first, then discovered that she had a full-size Christmas tree up her wazoo. So anyway, this yeah, definitely, like if you don't have insurance for therapy, we have a group rate through Survival Dispatch. Mike leads the therapy sessions. You all didn't know that.
That's helpful.
You didn't know that. Mike moonlights as a therapist, just so you all know.
Hey, do you have a degree in psychiatry?
Absolutely not.
Well,
I'm a college dropout, so
there you go.
All right.
First mine's terrorist psychology, but that's beside the point.
So
You're supposed to cure the problems, not create them.
I didn't get that memo. So this video is 2 minutes long. It's the last video for chapter 3. Then we roll into some memes and we'll put a lid on this thing. But I got to let the whole thing play, because if you're going to have to pay for therapy, you might as well get your money's worth.
What happens if Dank DeMoss actually gets in the lift car? AI finds out. Oh, no. So for context, this woman is nearly 500 pounds. Now, last time I checked, I'm not a doctor, but that is a little bit overweight. Her size makes it a problem.
I got no space.
She got a front butt. Yeah, I just want to make sure you get your money's worth here. That's all.
Size makes it a problem.
I got no space. My car is small.
I can fit in this car.
But believe me,
What make you think I can't fit in a car?
She's suing Lyft.
Dank DeMoss is suing Lyft after being refused entry into a small car by the driver. Let's use AI to find out what would have happened if the driver relented and let her in. And she's in.
I can fit in this car.
See, no problems at all.
Oh my God.
So this is her. I feel like this video is going to be used in the defense, and I think that it will be probably their strongest defense. Let me guess. Don't tell me she about to sit in this chair.
How you, brother? You good? Nice to meet you, Keith.
Got it. Yep.
Oh.
It's the only seat y'all got?
What you want? What you need?
There's one more. A bigger chair or something.
Is she already little?
We had
How is this not chair abuse? This is sofa. I know. Man, her lawyers must be so mad about this shit. There's actually an update. She proves that she can fit into a car by squeezing into a small SUV. All right, you guys ready?
I am not a doctor. I cannot save
When you see those shocks compress,
Looks like the shocks on the plane.
Maybe it's just the angle. Yep. Guys, maybe it's just the angle.
I can fit in this car.
See, no problems at all.
Oh.
Oh my God. All right, moving on to the memes. Marjorie Taylor Greene replying to Ilhan Omar. Damn autocorrect. Every time I try to type your name, it keeps correcting it to brother fucker.
Glad you liked my post today.
Yeah.
Head of Social Security abruptly resigns after clash with Elon Musk over Doge's access to sensitive data. We already mentioned that. Crooked.
Weird.
Crooked. Yeah, absolutely crooked. And somebody replied to all this, by the way, saying liberals cried wolf too many times. Okay, well, actually, she's replying to somebody who said the liberals cry wolf one too many times. Okay, but he actually has been a wolf in this whole time, making wolf noises and doing wolf things. I'd cry wolf again. I don't give a fuck. He's a wolf. This is a new liberal strategy. So generally they imagine things to victimize them that they can win arguments against. In this case, we have an imagined scenario in which she yields to. They're getting dumber, and we're not sure how far this can go.
She sounds like she's in love to me.
Oh boy. Exclusive. Hegseth has tapped investigators for botched Afghanistan withdrawal. Accountability will be coming.
Talk about an easy investigation. Most of the work's
I know.
already done for you.
Millie.
Great news. Seriously, great news. All right. And this is an old meme, but I had to recycle it because it seems pretty apropos at this particular point in time. That's a young Axl Rose, by the way. U.S. forces conducted a precision airstrike against a member of Al-Qaeda in Syria this weekend. The terrorist leader was working with Al-Qaeda across the region. Congratulations to CENTCOM Commander General Michael Kurilla and the U.S. warfighters who dealt justice to another jihadi threatening America and our allies and partners. That was
dealt him high-speed nitrates.
There you go. Love it. This image of migrant crime is illegal in Germany. Sharing it will get you fined, potentially get you put in jail. So in Germany,
this is unacceptable. Sorry.
Eardrums.
Sorry.
Yeah, I got to flip back to a screen. You didn't have the monocle and it doesn't count.
Yeah.
All right. In Germany, Afghans and Africans are proportionately 40 and 70 times more involved in gang rapes than Germans. So this is what we were, discussing. So whether it's Germany or England, if you publish anything like this on your social media that portrays the invaders as anything but doctors and attorneys, you're risking being thrown in jail. It's insane. And check this out. So these are 3 Germans who were interviewed by 60 Minutes to discuss this stuff. And then I said, of course, we have freedom of speech in Germany. And if you deny that, you go straight to jail for misinformation. Good double entendre there. Breaking. A parent at Gardner Edgerton in Kansas City has been banned from all school grounds and activities after taking pictures of LGBTQ propaganda posted inside the school. The parent has filed a lawsuit against the district for violating her First Amendment rights. The school is trying to silence a parent for exposing woke indoctrination of students.
This is also unacceptable.
Yes, it is. All right. Is this how Joe Biden got 81 million votes? No.
No, they did it through the census.
It's not, but it's still, this is a good chart that shows you how many people are found by Doge in those age categories. The one that's 360 to 369 years old, really, that's impressive.
I think at 120, I think is where you should have drawn the line. I'm just saying.
Yeah, I think so. I agree with that. Of course, the Social Security database can be fixed. Let me go down to the first one because people don't know what they don't know, but 300 million is not a big deal in computing these days at all. After all is said and done, I'm not exactly sure how to word this, but can he fix it, straighten it out with regards to the messed up database, like 395 million or something like that? And of course, the Social Security database can be fixed in the private sector. Handling payments at this scale is a solved problem. Managing 300 million records is not a significant challenge from a computer science perspective. The real issue is a lack of willingness to take action. Go ahead, Stu.
She knows it's fixed. That girl is sharp.
This one is here. This Susan from Kansas.
No, Data Republican.
Oh, okay.
It turns out that she's actually, I think she's in her 20s and she's deaf.
No kidding.
What?
Yep. Mike, she has blonde hair too, Mike. Just so you know, kind of
she looks like Susan Levitt, or what's her name? That Levitt chick.
Yeah, the Farrah Fawcett hairdo. I know you had that poster on your wall when you grew up.
Oh yeah,
I did.
We all did. Come on,
we did. Of course we did. Don't be crazy.
Then O'Neill had to come along and fuck it all up for everybody.
Right.
Right.
There's not a single straight white Gen Xer who did not have that poster when we grew up. All right, Viktor Orban from Hungary warning our fears have come true. The globalist liberal Soros NGO network is fleeing to Brussels after President Trump dealt a huge blow to their activities in the U.S. Now, 63 of them are asking Brussels for money under the guise of various human rights projects. Not going to happen. We will not let them find safe haven in Europe. The USAID files expose the dark practices of the globalist network. We will not take the bait again. Yeah, he's awesome.
If they left, don't let them back in.
Right. So I'm trying to think. I think this meme was supposed to be tacked on the one above, because it says, so that's why Germans don't have a sense of humor. All the funny Germans are in prison. If you are poor under capitalism, you would be dead under communism. Good comparison.
And if you're rich under capitalism, you'd be dead under communism too.
True story. Question: with all this fraud, what the hell have the oversight committees in Congress been doing for the past 20 years?
Conducting fraud.
Collecting fraud. Yep.
Right. Collecting their own payments.
It's enraged liberal here, by the way. It's been called the Gulf of Mexico for centuries. Cool story, bro. Now do genders.
And I got something to say about that. We're okay with North America, South America, Central America, Latin America.
Why not Gulf of America?
Why not Gulf of America? We're all Americans, aren't we?
Yeah.
Exactly. So just a PSA here. If you happen to see an ICE raid going down, be a decent human being and turn your phone horizontal before recording any arrests. I want to watch that shit on my big screen.
Yeah.
Doge fixes this. Nothing is so permanent as a temporary government program. Milton Friedman.
Yeah.
Boy, and you know what? Drive on I-20 through Arkansas. I guarantee you will see what a permanent government program looks like. They have been working on that road, I-20, since freaking Clinton was the governor.
That's I-30.
It's 40 and 30
goes through.
Or 40. Sorry. Yeah. I'm sorry. 40. Yeah. But they've been working on that since Clinton was the governor.
It's orange barrel season 12 months of the year there.
Yeah.
All right. Breaking. Elon Musk is reposting tweets that refer to Tom Hanks as a pedophile. True story. Republican introduces bill to make Trump's birthday a federal holiday. He's the GOAT. Doge just revealed the government sent $4.7 trillion in untraceable payments. That's almost the entire year's receipts for our federal government. It brings in just over $5 trillion a year.
Who was it that said they lost $4.7 trillion?
The bad guys. All right. What if, and stick with me here, what if there's actually more gold? This is from Mike. Than reported in Fort Knox in the New York Federal Reserve vault. And the reason we haven't audited it in 50 years is because the U.S. government would have to explain where and when we got it all. Look at that.
I don't know, man. I just found it in my pocket. I'm holding this for my friend.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is this guy is at the top of Mike's hit list, by the way. That he's a chicken lover, not in this sense, in the real sense.
I was about to say, wait a minute.
So, pervert who had sex with chickens in his basement while his wife filmed him is jailed for 3 years.
You got something for this guy.
What in the hell? How does that even happen?
Well, if you're not well endowed.
If you gotta ask, you can't afford it.
Okay, I don't know that I'm just go ahead.
It's better if you don't ask. It's better if you don't ask.
Well, I have to ask the question: is this the male? Oh my, that's yeah. But I
he did that. That's true story right there, man. He did it to me too. I had a bunch of ammo show up at my house that I didn't order it. Elon Musk definitely did it.
Well, I got all these charges for 1-900 numbers.
Has to be, right?
Mine were untraceable.
I'm pretty sure this one is from Mike as well.
Yep, that was me this morning.
Man, we just lost our feed on YouTube for a second. It's back now. I was thinking to myself, man, what the fuck did we say now? The guy shut down.
What didn't we?
Germans offended.
Yeah.
Tom was it Tom Hanks pedophile? You know,
Quite possibly, yeah. You didn't make coffee. You failed me for the last time, Admiral. This is a Mike Sterling original. Epstein docs loading PDF. Cash Patel's vote. Is it next Thursday or this
Thursday?
This Thursday. Okay, 2 days. Sorry. Yeah.
If DC doesn't get shut down by snow.
Right. Yeah. Forecast partly cloudy with a chance of scattered communists.
Pinochet.
Yeah. And look at this. Kids are safe in the White House again.
That's mine.
There you go. Tom Hanks plays racist Trump supporter in Saturday Night Live 50th anniversary show. We played the video last night. He's a scumbag, man.
That's like the 5th time he's done that particular role.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like that, Tom Hanks showed what an asshole he is. Totally fucks up one of my favorite movies of all time.
It really does.
Somebody needs to remake the dang video now. Maybe
I do know definitely there's one rule in this world, and that's you don't travel anywhere with Tom Hanks.
Yeah, boy, howdy. Do you think we could recruit Bubbles from Trailer Park Boys to remake Forrest Gump? Wouldn't that be great?
Votes?
My thumb is up.
Okay.
The most American grocery store aisle I've ever seen in my entire life. Beer, pizza, potatoes, guns, Bible, sweatpants.
I like it.
It must be the Rural King.
That best quote I've heard in a while. You can't leave those who created the problem in charge of the solution. Boy, howdy.
For sure.
Tax return $1,200. Put 4 eggs in my omelet. Or call 1-800 Mike Sterling.
I know a guy.
Yeah.
Don't be just walking up and knocking on my door asking for eggs. Okay? That's not how it goes out here.
Yeah. Pretty well-known quote from Rush Limbaugh. I have talent on loan from God. We've had enough leftover nanothermite to rig a 3rd skyscraper, but forgot to assign a jet to hit it. Our experts are confident nobody will notice. Doge breaking down the door at the IRS.
No, I can't wait for that one.
Oh, man, that's going to be beautiful.
No kidding. Borders are Tom Holman says illegal daily encounters down to 229 from 11,000. But it's impossible. Mayorkas said it's impossible. The border was.
You got to get Congress to act before you can do anything.
Yeah.
What's he going to do? Just break out a wand and start making things happen at the border
and the economy, right?
Congress has to give us more money.
So here's stealing millions, here's stealing billions, and they're stealing trillions.
Right.
True story. And this is Africa before 2.6 trillion in aid, and Africa after 2.6 trillion in aid. But they built America, in case you didn't get the memo. They also built Ireland, Sweden. They were the original Vikings.
Yes.
If you watch Netflix, you can confirm everything I just said. And there's an upcoming theatrical production coming. I can't remember the name of it, where a black lady is playing Jesus Christ. I shit you not.
Of course.
But we've taken the Shroud of Turin and used it to recreate what Jesus looked like, and it's exactly like you would expect. All right, check this out. Just burned a gay pride flag.
That's a hate crime against the whole world.
Listen, German, Polish, fuck off. This is America. We have the First Amendment here. All right. The people who change names of everything from military bases to pancake syrup sure seem mad about the Gulf of America thing.
Oh, shit.
All right. And that is it for our memes. We are now in the final home stretch.
Are you saying we're actually going to get done before 9 tonight?
Yeah, we're way at it.
Well, no, because it's 9:10.
Yeah, we're doing okay.
My time, Central Time.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, well we're imminent here, but I don't know if you had a chance to look at the the conflicted question, but it's a doozy tonight. So anyway, before we do that, homework wise, so what can the audience do in light of the main topic we discussed on this episode, DEI, especially infiltrating the airline industry? Don't fly airlines that promote DEI, or you're literally putting your life in danger. Be very vocal online and in person, speaking against DEI and in favor of MEI, merit, excellence, and intelligence. Although I do support DEI in the context of deport every illegal. Number 3, don't support companies that are heavily vested in DEI. It's easy to find out who they are. Target would be a great example. Who else just doubled down on it? Somebody else just doubled down hard on it. Come to me in a minute. Share truth tellers like Survival Dispatch News on your socials. Continue writing and calling your congressional reps, letting them know how you feel about all the stuff out there that needs to be fixed, including DEI. If you go to patreon.com/survival dispatch, you can download our sit rep if you sign up for a membership. And there's a link to GovTrack there to find all of that information. $9.99 a month, you get every sit rep. You get access to the Signal chat where Mike and S2 in particular dump copious amounts of intel on people. Velcro, Kevin, there's a whole bunch of them in there that are awesome. The girls as well. I got sometimers. It's kind of like Alzheimer's, just different. Sometimes I remember, sometimes I forget. But Lynn, Katie, who else am I forgetting, guys, that are super active in the chat?
I know Mama Lynn keeps a leash on us.
Yeah.
That's true. She's like a hall monitor.
That's
She don't keep a leash on me. She lets me off the chain constantly.
All right. So, Mike, you're up with the conflicted question. And Jeff, you first.
Wow. Okay. Hey, tonight's a doozy, folks. And hey, I want to hear what you guys have got to say here in the comments section. All right. Whole bunch of you skipped out on us last night on this kind of stuff. I want to hear what you got to say here in the comment section. Answer the questions. All right. You will answer the questions, or I will send Jeff to extract it from you. Anyway. Okay. SHTF scenario. Super volcano eruption triggers global disruption. Oh, yeah, it's as bad as it sounds, kids. Picture this on February 19, 2025. Dude, that's tomorrow. That sucks. The Yellowstone caldera erupts in a rare supervolcano event, unleashing a massive ash cloud that blankets the western U.S. within hours. The eruption, far exceeding historical precedents like Mount St. Helens, spews billions of tons of ash into the atmosphere, plunging North America into a volcanic winter. Temperatures drop sharply as sunlight is blocked. Well, it's cold enough already. Crops fail across the Midwest breadbasket, and air travel grounds to a halt globally due to engine-damaging ash. In the U.S., millions evacuate westward states like Wyoming and Montana. Dude, you're not even going to live in those states. No. Overwhelming highways and straining resources in neighboring regions. Power grids falter under ash-induced equipment failures, and water supplies become contaminated with toxic volcanic particles. Within weeks, food shortages spark riots in unaffected cities while the government declares a national emergency, but struggles to coordinate aid amid communication breakdowns and ash-choked infrastructure. The crisis rapidly escalates into a global issue as climate shifts threaten famine worldwide. Question for you preppers. In the aftermath of a Yellowstone supervolcano eruption, with ashfall rendering air and water filtration critical and mass evacuations clogging escape routes, how would you adapt your shelter-in-place strategy to protect your family from prolonged exposure to volcanic ash while maintaining a viable long-term food and water supply in a suddenly colder, darker world?
Jeff.
Well, there's a couple of issues there. Water, if you have outdoor water supplies, you may have to get them indoors, meaning like inside your house, inside your garage. You must have, and then see what you have to kind of jury-rig a filtration system. Ash, a lot of ash will actually float on water, volcanic ash. But you've got to find a way to get that stuff out. And you've also got to worry about breathing because volcanic ash is high in silica. And that will chop your lungs to shreds. You'll get silicosis if you don't just bleed to death anyway. Assuming you've already got your food set up, you've got to make sure that you have fuel because it's going to be cold, and you've got to be able to cook your food. But something people don't think about is you've got to find a way to be able to clear ash from the roof of your house. That shit is heavy, and when a super volcano goes off, you're talking potential. Well, if you're downwind from it, like if you're in Wyoming, you're toast. You're not going to be around. You're going to get buried like Pompeii. But if like here in Arizona, if the winds are blowing east to west, we may not get the brunt of it, but you'll get enough that if it accumulates on your roofs will collapse. And everything you've prepped will be buried under that crap.
Yeah, good answer, Jeff.
Secure your water, secure your food, and protect your home.
Yep, good answer. So for us, we have a cabin at the top of a mountain. So it's several miles down a private road, a few hundred yards, private gated driveway. We have a well that's over 200 feet deep. We have a second well just on the side of our hill, or mountain, I should say. And it's on a pretty steep slope, maybe 30, 35 degrees. And it's just down from our cabin. The water's crystal clear that comes out of there. We have a basement in that home as well. So we're particularly well suited for a number of things. If we didn't have electricity, the basement can essentially double as a cold cellar. I've built homes before where I put a cold cellar under the front stoop, and depending on how deep you go, you can keep it pretty cool in a that type of scenario. So I don't think anything would really change for us. I mean, if this was incoming, or the second we got a whiff of it, we'd be heading straight to our cabin in the mountains, and that's our escape plan. We're ready to go there, and we're not going to hang around. As soon as we get the first whiff of something bad, we're getting out of Dodge. S2.
Well, I have a leaf blower to blow the crap off my roof for one. We've got generators, of course, because we don't have any solar. We're going to have a problem with that. So there is manual generation of power, which is why I keep a spare alternator in my garage so that I can recharge batteries in the event that I run out of the ways to do it solarly. Secondly, I have been scoping out alternative water supplies, and particularly areas that have wells, deep wells, so that we can have water supply. It might have to walk a little bit, but we have gas masks that will help for filtration of the particulates out of the air. So I don't really have to adapt quite a whole lot to what we've already got in play here.
Yep, good answer. Mike, bring it home.
Well, okay, so I did a quick check because I should have looked at this previously and gotten the map to you. But it looks like the entirety of the continental United States, other than the very southern tip of Texas and the very southern tip of Florida, are gonna get ashed hard. If we're looking at the caldera itself, pretty much western Wyoming, eastern Idaho, and the whole of south central Montana are just gone. They're just not even good. They're going to be a hole in the ground. So you may as well not even try to drive out of there. But here's I don't know if we can.
Got it. There
we go. Yeah, whatever. Anyway, yeah, you guys get the gist of it. Yeah. So one of the big, if you are probably west of the Mississippi, you're going to have a lot of problems with the sulfuric acids that are clinging to a lot of the ash particles. That's actually a real problem. That's the biggest problem that you're going to wind up having a problem with your water supplies if those water supplies are outside, because that ash will get into your water and it'll leach a whole lot of acids into your water, and that's bad. So yeah, get your water inside here, seal the place up, get as much water as we possibly could inside, top up our food and hang on. And yeah, exactly like Jeff said, work daily to get that ash off your roof. I'm in the 3 to 10 millimeter deposit range, and I would say, yeah, you need to do that daily, because I would say probably that's going to be 3 to 10 millimeters per day. But you're going to have that's a mass extinction incident right there.
100%.
90% of the human race in the northern hemisphere is going to die in the first 3 months.
And you aren't going to drive out, and you aren't going to drive out of that either.
No.
But on the bright side, if you survive it all, your soil will be very rich.
Once the acids leach out, yeah. It's really, honestly, a lot of that is going to depend on the rain.
Yeah.
It's going to depend on how long it takes Mother Nature to clean that stuff out of the atmosphere.
And prevailing winds and...
Well, won't our government just go up and seed the clouds?
Yeah. But the northern hemisphere, fucked.
Oh, yeah.
For years.
It would be like a planet-killing asteroid type of event.
Yeah.
So after we take Greenland and Canada, maybe we should be looking something in the southern hemisphere that we can conquer next.
Well,
Venezuela.
Chile.
Todd Callender's little place down there. Just by
Chile.
In Chile. Yeah. Todd Callender has 850 square miles in Chile.
See how quick. Oh, I mean, why are you going to go to Georgia? Let's head for Todd's place. We'll hop on the boat, cruise on down to Chile.
Mai Tais for everybody.
Right. All right. So just a quick update on, speaking of Todd Callender, an update on his new social media site that my team is building, Liberty Club. It will be offline for a little bit tomorrow. We are moving it into a production server with a gigi pipe on it. Right now it's on a development server, which is why we're not hard launching this until February the 26th. The bar across the top is for admins. You won't see that. But we essentially took the best of Facebook and Rumble and put it together. Click of a button for people who like things light versus dark, easy peasy. If I scroll down here, there we go. That's our video streaming live to Liberty Club right this minute. So we've got, I would say 90% of the functionality is done. We're going to launch without the e-commerce portion. That'll come afterwards, but we've got some really cool stuff coming up there. If you're a creator, we have some really cool monetization options for it. So stay tuned. February 26th, Liberty Club coming soon. We have the closing video tonight from Brendan Dilley, aka Warlord Dilley. Quite a bit of profanity in it. If you got youngins around, put your headphones on or exit the video now. You've been warned. We'll be back tomorrow night, usual time, 7 p.m. Eastern. Until then, please like, share, comment, and subscribe.
God bless America.
Hoorah. America.
Most of these fucking losers in the media and politics have never built shit. I'm talking to all you men and women out there. You built a company. You've done more than most of your politicians, pretty much all of your politicians that you were in your local district. You've done more than anybody in the media. You control the real, the physical. They control the non-physical, the bullshit. The narrative, the fucking narrative. Can you drive a narrative? Can you eat a narrative? Can a narrative fucking take your head off from 700 yards away? They control something that's invisible and doesn't exist, like most of their fucking world. You control all of the tangible shit. You fix their cars. You build their roads. You erect their skyscrapers. You weld their shit. You grow their food. They don't do fuck all. These are not builders. These are not creators. These are fucking morons. These are useless fucking pieces of shit that think they're better than others who actually create. Most of these cunts inside of these liberal fucking school districts don't even have children. They aborted them. They murdered babies. You raised them. They want to tell you how to fucking educate your children or what should be on your child's face. We built this country. We built this country. Those of you who served in the military, you built this country. Those of you who come from generations of family that have owned small businesses, you built this country. Those of you who grew up farming with a family who's out there growing food for everyone, you built this country. The Dilley name? Fuck, Alaska only has freeways and roads because of my family. Some fucking politician in DC didn't do any of that shit. Not one fucking thing. Most of these cunts don't know shit about shit. They know politics. They know manipulation and coercion. These are not talented individuals. These are not creators. You control everything. You drive their fucking food and goods across the country. You do it. And when you're not driving it on a truck, you're navigating fucking sea swells across the fucking Pacific and or Atlantic with their items. These people are not a fucking worthy adversary. They're shit on the bottom of your shoe. They're a fraction of your population. They only fucking push the narrative and the psyop because it's the only thing they actually have. They don't have the numbers. They don't have the guns. They don't have the innovation. They don't have the fucking ability. These people are nothing. And the sooner you realize that, the sooner you can fucking deal with them appropriately. They fly nothing. They drive nothing. They grow nothing. They ship nothing. They raise nothing. These are empty, soulless fucking cunts. And you're an American. It's time to start fucking acting like it. Wake the fuck up.